stations existing in different places, but I'm not going to mention where they are in order to avoid any harm to be done for the factories, and we are saving ourselves by that. The factory rent per day is $5 million in order to say that the gas required for all Egyptian factories is here. And this is not enough. And also the cost of importation of such a gas, how much do you think? Those small two factories, they require the specific preparation to be established on port. This is to solve the problem of gas in Egypt, and that didn't happen in 3-5 years. That happened recently, and the last meeting was in last November, and we are working now on airport and also two other ports, Eastern Portine. When I'm speaking about a port, and I'm not doing it myself, we are doing it together. We are trying to see what is the state of the art in each field we are working on to transfer the experience and technology. How long it takes? 5 years? 10 years? No, just 2 years. Just 2 years. There are 9-10 Egyptian companies working on it. Each company is doing 500 kilometers in order to be ready and to operate this port as soon as possible. As for airports, we finalized the 3 airports. What we are doing now is that we are getting the signals to make them ready. Each airport, or the capacity of each airport, is 1.7 million. That was done. This is not to be implemented in the future. That was done. And this is the construction works. Another item, water. As young people were speaking while Dr. Hala was analyzing, young people are concerned about the scarcity of water, and I am also concerned. Be careful, the amount of water treated in Egypt, 10.5 million cubic meters daily, and this is a double treatment. There is a double treatment for 8 million and 2.5 tripartite treatment. We are working on treatment stations in 2 years, and that will raise the amount of water that equals the amount that was treated throughout the last 20 years. Again, what is our share of that? The Egyptians' share of that is that we are building up our country to save 10 million cubic meters of water. That means 3.5 per year. I was unable to declare that previously, but it is a long story. I will say something that may be against our national security, however, I'm going to say it. Do you know, we all know that there is a dam that is built, and we are going to agree on specific years. They are going to cut the water to reserve for this dam. How we are going to deal with this problem? Will we leave farmers without water. Please, whoever wants to discuss any issue should study this issue previously, and if you don't know, come to me and I will tell you the real story. I will tell you the real story. You need to study your topic well previously at any field, even if we are discussing issues in a normal dialogue. Be careful about whatever you say. You are accountable before Allah on any word you are saying, and you will be accountable again. You are in the wrong direction. I'm not going to go in details. How much again? Anything done previously, I know the cost of each, and I considered the contracting of each, as I am free, I'm not busy. Are you discussing the counter-corruption actions? I'm speaking about 400, 500 billion. I'm quite sure that the reduction was not less than 200 billion. I'm not exaggerating. I'm ready to tell you everything, and the offered prices and the contracting prices. I swear I can tell you everything, the cost of each 1 kilometer, each 1,000 mega, how much it was offered, and what is the real contracting price we reached. I'm not suspecting anyone, but this is a real effort to care about our country and to serve our country honestly by action, not by words. Frankly speaking, I want anyone who, those who are speaking a lot to take minutes position, to give them the opportunity and let them do and see. Let us watch and see them what they are going to do. And I'm telling that for all Egyptians to be careful. The 10 million meter we are seeking within 20 years, it is a must to do them. How much they are going to cost? I believe the meter is from 5 to 7. Is it correct, doctors? What does it mean? 1 million equals what? 5 billion. 10,000 will reach 50 billion. What is the real cost we are going to spend? Half of this number. Why I'm telling you that? When anyone is speaking about corruption, yes, I agree with you. I'm not allowed to take 1 pound from anyone. Will I allow to anyone to take 1 plus pound, Egyptian pound? The ultimate objective of Egypt is to maintain the country safe. And for that, it is a must to construct and maintain. Both together will achieve this objective. Suez Canal built. It may take 3 years, and we will live in this mode for 3 years. Any politician will say that will be better to last in this dream for 3 years. No, if we are able to do it in 1 year, we are going to do it in 1 year, and to give hope for people, and the cost compared to the prices offered. What can I say? When I'm referring to prices, I'm just reminding all Egyptians, ministers, officials, I ask you to intervene in the details in order to counter corruption. You need to know everything done in your business in order to counter corruption. This is the approach. In water treatment, we need 10 million or more. Why? In 1 year, 1.5 years. I'm not required to say it for you, but I'm saying that as others are trying to raise doubts on the Egyptian state potential to achieve its dreams and objectives. People are working in order to disappoint Egyptians. Others are discussing issues without being knowledgeable. I'm not required to say that, but I consider that if I'm not going to say these details, I believe that will be less harm than losing the country. No one declaring all these details on air, live on air. No one speaking about these details on air for all people. People are wasting time to collect these data and these information to know your direction. You have to be careful, all Egyptians. We spoke about treatment, and then we have the desalination. To work on desalination, and young people, those who are concerned about water scarcity, yes. Egypt 50 years ago, is it the same as it is now? The volume of water is stable. It is not changing. Will we counter the problem, overcome the problem or not? We are targeted. We are targeting 500 cubic meters of water daily, and if we were able to reach moderate prices with the companies, we may reach 1 million. I'm just referring to the infrastructure only. How much that will cost? How much time it requires? Who will do it? There are treatment stations were built in 8-9 years. I'm not saying that to underestimate others' efforts, but what we are doing is a trial to counter our problems in a different way. I hope we will succeed. You are speaking about treatment stations to be built in 8 years or 9 years for 200 cubic meters of water, but now we are discussing 10 million in 2 years? Yes, that will happen. This is the infrastructure. I'm doing that to renovate the current conditions in order to be a real state. At the same time, we are working on industrial zones. This is what I discussed with the Minister of Industry. Our preparation and our efforts for these zones with the investors, all or the SMEs, I believe the rates I will say that it is normal and this is not enough. This is not enough. It is a must to quickly prepare these zones as soon as possible, equip them all by all facilities to be offered for investors, those who are seeking investments in these zones. If that didn't happen, I believe that will take 5-10 years, but the investors will not wait all this time. I believe as a state we have to do our best and to do it as soon as possible to solve this problem. When we discuss 1.5 million FIDN out of 4 million, is that necessary? As many discussed this issue, and I explained that one or two times previously. The investor is not thinking about anything but profits, and this is normal. This is not something ashamed, but we as a government, we are thinking about real opportunities. I'm speaking to you now, and more than 50% of the Egypt area is slum. I believe Dr. Mustafa may correct this number if it is wrong. 50% of Egypt is slums, and you are speaking about social justice. People are living in slums and they are presented in the TVs criticizing the government and the Egyptian state. They are shedding light on our poor areas, and if we are real Egyptians, we will not sleep until we construct it. If someone criticizing me or criticizing you as Egyptians, don't react, but work, construct, develop your country. This is the real reaction, but not to react again. Slums. We have 4,500 villages in Egypt, and as well as 27,000. We have to be careful, and it is recorded in the history. If we are going to counter this problem, in 15 years we will have 35,000 villages as slums. You can add this number to the previous one again. I will repeat it again. If I ask these days to have social housing 600,000 units per year, this is not exaggeration, doctor. No. Will that number will be built in Cairo? No. All the desert area in Upper Egypt, we are studying that currently to construct these housing units there. Otherwise, they are going to deplete the cultivation land in Egypt, and I believe we need to exert integrated efforts in order to attract investors. What does it mean? If we are not careful while we are constructing, and we are constructing randomly, no, this is not to be done. I need my house nearby school, hospital to be served. We are not building social housing units currently only. No. We are constructing decent housing units. When they offered 6 meters for the unit. 60 meters for unit. How come? Well, you make girls and boys sleeping in one room. This is not correct. Do you love your country and you are fearing about your children? How come you are going to do that? No. Are you busy enough not to bring up your children? What did you do? How much you paid? I will tell you. And I said previously that I'm going to speak a lot. Long live Egypt, that we declared 1 year and a half ago. The funding of this fund is 4 billion, and one was given by the army, 4.7 billion. And we are willing to treat millions of Egyptians infected by virus C. And also we are willing to construct decent housing units for people living in slums. The mobile phones the people are carrying. You need to say good morning for Egypt by 1 Egyptian pound by SMS, or that means 300 Egyptian pounds per month, and this is a good deal. We are speaking a lot. However, are we willing really to achieve social justice? Will I do it myself? No. We will do it together. We should work for those people to provide them decent life. For myself, I can say seriously, if I may be sold, it's okay for me to be sold. We are targeting till now 656,000 units within 2 years and a half, and the land will be given to contractors maximum by next April in order to deliver the housing units on time. And whoever applies for a unit and is eligible, I will build a housing unit for him or her. The 100,000 housing units, the cost is 16.5 billion. Like we showed you previously, the inauguration that included the red carpet. Can you remember? Yes, I'm reminding you. 16.5 billion for the 100,000 units. If I am willing to do million, I need 165 billion Egyptian pound. Again, whoever applies for these units and is eligible will be given a housing unit, even if this number was double one or more time. Even if we reach 800, 900. You are asking now from where you are getting this money, and this question is repeatedly asked. And you have to know everything. Our colleagues in Gulf states helped us more. And allow me to thank them very much, appreciate them very much for this assistance. But believe me, we will not continue like that. It is not correct. They supported us at critical times. After 30th of June, we lacked the fuel and we had many problems. They supported us well. But I'm going to tell you something in fuel, and this is just one item. I need you to consider the figures carefully and you can write them down to know well the story of your country. During those 2.5 years, Egypt consumed 533 billion Egyptian pounds, and this is the world prices. Egyptian prices, our consumption, we produce a part and the other is generated by a foreign partner. If I'm going to sell, I should get the 533, but I'm here calculating based on our production. It is 334. Our colleagues in Gulf states contributed by 51 billion. 51 billion. Till now, still we are receiving fuel from them. However, but these are trade contracts. We are taking this amount and we will pay later. It is forward payment. Why I'm saying that to you? In order to know exactly what are we doing, in order to find solutions together. The other contracts that may be implemented currently and in the soon future, we are asking them just to pay later until we stabilize our situation and until the world economic crisis is ended, and also until we overcome our crisis as Egyptians. Why? What is the reason of the collapse of tourism? Why they destroyed this industry that was done intentionally? This sector was generating 14 billion Egyptian pounds, and we need the foreign currency to meet different needs for our country. Those who destroyed this industry were trying to let us suffer. Will we fail to overcome that? Will we stand up and be careful and understand this planning? I'm speaking about maintaining the country, the construction, and they are willing to stop us construct our countries in order not to continue and to collapse. And it was possible to focus on terrorism and to leave other items as we are fighting terrorism. We didn't do that. We were fighting, and at the same time we were constructing, and we will continue in the future more and more. Again, our colleagues contributed 51 billion US dollars, about 7-8 billion US dollars. As we discussed this issue, I will remind you again by our budget. again the shares included in the budget and the remaining part for Egypt. I say figures that may be memorized. Whoever listens should be careful. Imagine that our budget is 850 billion Egyptian pound. This is what we can spend on Egypt. Let us see what we can really spend on Egypt. We hope we will reach 250 million deficit. What does that mean? I borrow this amount, 250 billion. I borrow this number. Another figure that is easily memorized. The support, 250 billion. Egypt is giving you. Egypt is doing that with all its citizens. We are providing at least 250 billion per year for the citizens.
والغاز والسلع والخدمات بكم؟ أنا بقول 250 وحتى قلت العجز 250 وهو أكتر من كده، بس أنا حبيت أقول لكم أرقام تقدروا يعني تبقى دايما حاضرة في ذهنكم وتقول طب بقى إيه؟ لا لسه في حاجة تانية. وفي 250 مليار خدمة الدين. خدمة الدين يعني إيه؟ خدمة الدين يعني السلف.
Widening has been widening, let alone debt servicing. Well, we have been servicing our debts. What do we mean by servicing debts? We mean interest accruing for a loan we have received. $1,000 billion are the amount of loaning we have received. By the beginning of this year, we have already sealed the second trillion. So it 2,000 billion US dollars. How much do we have to pay for servicing this debt? I have to say, what remains for the people? What remains for Egypt? What remains for Egypt, you Egyptians? I'm saying so not just to scare you, but I just wanted to keep you updated on the economic situation. I've told them so when people met me there.
وكمان أنا اللي قلت الكلام ده وأنا مدير مخابرات لكل اللي التقيت بيهم من المساعدين.
I've said the same figures when I was a director of the General Army of the Army Intelligence, and I met a galaxy of intellectuals and thinkers. I've told them then, when I was director of the Army Intelligence, I've told them the same. So I'm saying so because people may think that I'm saying so now because I'm president. No, I've said so when I was a chief of army intelligence. How can we continue building our country?
بس أنا قلت كلمة عشان موضوع منين دي تبقى واضحة.
I have told you from where are we going to get resources. From where? From Egypt itself. We're going to draw on Egypt and Egyptians for more resources. It's the sound and the good management of Egypt's resources which we are going to hinge upon heavily in the foreseeable future. Finished with housing. If we can't move forward every year to provide housing, social, low-cost, low-budget housing for the general public, while the government is capable of reversing and stemming all trespasses, all acts of trespassing on farming land, nothing would be done. A lot of farming land, if the ongoing, persisting encroachments and acts of trespassing on our farming land, in a very short time, all farming land we are depending on now for food will be finished, will be sprawled on, will dissipate. Talking about the 500,000 Fedans, we are talking about an integrated housing community. I'd like to say something. I've said something about water supplies. The issue I just told you about water may be linked to the 1,000 Fedans. Small and medium enterprises have already been touched on by Mr. Tariq as a stable and steady mechanism. Let me talk to you in detail about the small and medium-sized enterprises. I've told you and the government before that it's we, the government and the people, should create our own entities. I'm making these, we are embarking on these entities in order to avert our students, our sons and children and the forthcoming generations the arduous path of studying. When I embark on 1,000 smaller entities, would it be like someone alone doing his entity alone? Well, if the government, or if we embark on creating these entities collectively in a wholesome manner, these 1,000 entities will cost less, will be cheap and cost less, and will be better in terms of quality than if a person is let alone to build his own entity. And we are going to ask them to give them these entities, and we'll be asking them to repay the loan he's given to him to get this housing unit. The allotted figure of money has been appropriated for youth in Egypt, for anyone who would like to be engaged or to take on a small or medium enterprise. 200 million is not a small thing, but it can suffice a lot, thousands and thousands of people. I've been talking about reconstruction. Let me talk to you about. We have to take care of our country, Egypt. Let me talk about our country's survival. Let's review together what can undermine the very existence of a certain country. What makes a country survive against all challenges, and what makes it dissipate in face of all challenges. Let's see what challenges are there that could undermine our very existence, to work on them and to work on how to confront these challenges in order to help our country survive for more years and centuries. Many a country have been in need to hear us talk about the challenges. Did we change the previous ruling regime by force, or has it been the willing of the people of Egypt who prompted the removal of the previous ruling regime. And I think by now, the entire world knows for sure that it was the entire people of Egypt who took to the streets, and toppled and removed the previous regime. And we've lost none of our links with all blocks in the world, in Asia, in Europe, in whatever place in the world. We have been maintaining our very good ties with everyone. By now they are all aware that it's the will of the people. Institutions are the very pillars, are the very cornerstones for any country to exist. The more these institutions are performing well, the more the country is capable of defending itself. They are constitution, parliament, government. And let me dwell upon one of these points. Any one of these points, if it's shaken violently, is perturbed, it's likely to perturb or shake and jolt the entire nation. Look how we looked like when we started. We were about to cast our votes on a referendum. Now the constitution, properly authored and properly written down, now every institution knows for sure the framework within which it has to work and what kind of ties or links that link it to the other institutions. Let me talk about Parliament in a nutshell. Does today's Parliament did anyone interfere with the election process to get someone to get to Parliament in the way they got to Parliament in? No. What's the news of Parliament? Now but I have to note that 50% of Parliament's members have got access to Parliament. Of course, they are first comers to Parliament and they have no experience in parliamentary exercise. But we have to endure them, we have to give them the opportunity, the chance to work. Isn't the fact that our parliamentary election have not been interfered with is a positive fact in itself? Let me talk about the great women of Egypt. If you look at all at parliaments across the globe, you will find that the percentage of women on Egypt's parliament is a considerable one. But I'm still not comfortable. I don't want to mention names because it's not appropriate to mention any country's parliament. But in some parliaments across the globe, we may find members brawling and scuffling with each other. This parliament of ours, which we have on this parliament we have more than 50% newcomers, and we have so and so a word which I don't want to mention, and I don't want any one of you to mention, because I have pledged to myself not to divide the Egyptians into Egyptian so-and-so and Egyptian so-and-so. We are all Egyptian. We cannot be divided into so-and-so category or so-and-so category or religion. We cannot be divided along ethnic or religious lines. Government. Now we'll finish with the parliament. Come to the government. Today, when there's a government, the government is in control at a stable country, everything goes smoothly. But when I'm talking to all Egyptians now, don't be upset with me. You will know better than me. You will not know better than myself whether this government is good, is performing well or not, because I've been sitting with this government every day. I'm not defending anyone, but what does a government minister receive from the country to endure the suffering of your criticism, of your scolding criticism of government ministers? Government ministers have all the time been given a bad press in the media in general, and let me not talk about the media. Believe me, if something needs to be altered, needs to be changed, we are going to alter or change it, unhesitantly, of course. If we're talking about the state, take care of the points, preserve it, preserve these points, and deepen them. Believe me, if would you believe me when I sit with my government people for 9 hours and without going out? You believe me if I say so? Well, of course, we have breaks within our 9-hour meetings in order to go to prayers, to make things clear for you. But if you keep criticizing me this way, I will not move a government minister when he finds himself being lashed out at and being scoldingly criticized. He will not work. I've been touring the country nationwide, across the nation, and everywhere I've been touring, I found a lot of flaws and shortcomings, drawbacks, everything. Of course, massive efforts towards upgrading the country, upgrading facilities have been made. Yes, efforts, enormous and huge efforts have been made, but whether these have been fruitful or not, we still can really talk about these. Our goal is to reform and to revamp our country. If there has been revamping, okay. No, this revamping effort should not be at the expense of families, salaries, wages. I'm telling you once more, if we have 7 million civil servants, government employees, civil servants for the government, I'm telling you, if we have 7 million civil servants, I'm telling you, if we have 7 million civil servants, we can do with only 1 civil servant, but we still would not dispense with the 7 million. Nothing has been effected since I told you about this figure of 7 million, and nothing will be changed for them. Of course, there are things which have to be altered, to be changed. If you would like to see your country reformed, you should pull yourselves together and should be standing. Let me talk to you about sovereign institutions.
السنين اللي فاتت
throughout the past years,
ونظام التعليم بتاعنا اللي موجود
with the education system we have in place,
كويس
did our educational system manage to groom good people who are fit, who are suitable to fill in senior positions?
وبناخدهم في مؤسسات كتير.
Well, the present educational system has been sporting a lot of skillful and efficient people who have already filled in senior positions. So when you come to reform any of these so-called sovereign institutions, please take care to reform rather than to break things when you are reforming or revamping. Each of these sovereign institutions is one of the pillars supporting the very existence of the nation, of the country. This fact does not mean that we should not make any amendment to these pillars. Okay, we have to make any alteration or amendment through law, and we have had now Parliament in place, and through Parliament we can introduce whatever changes to this institution. Let me get along with you and see.
اظن بعد اللي انا بقوله ده وبحكي مفيش كلام تاني بصراحه.
I think, having heard what I've already said, I think no more talk can be made.
انا اللي باجي النهارده اقول
When
الحكومه لا تقر في البرلمان القادم.
when I come and see that the government will not be approved for next parliament, I'm going to ask the next parliament to form and create a government. In what month, in what time, I don't know. You are plunging, by doing so, you are plunging me into confusion, into turmoil. This is what the Constitution provides for. We are following the constitutional steps for creating a government, and while we do so, the lower classes will still be living day by day on a day-by-day basis for the earnings. They earn the living on a day-by-day basis. They can't afford waiting for a government to take over and then continue work for just a month or two and then be replaced by another. You will be ending up in something which we had not expected, throwing the entire nation into turmoil or confusion. So by survival, I mean that all these institutions of the country should be well taken care of, which still should not be construed as we are going to compromise the performance of these very institutions. No, if there are criticisms or there are points of criticism or there are points of weakness against these institutions, these weaknesses or these criticisms have to be addressed in a more proper way through the law, rather than pulling down the entire institution because of weaknesses in it. What's going on is that there has been a communal compromise on strategic goal. The preserving of this communal compromise is a strategic goal, Still, we are still far away. There's a very long road ahead of us in order to reach, to hammer out real and genuine democratic exercises involving leveling, strong and scolding criticisms against so and so. Please preserve the country's institutions.
القانون هياخد مجراه ولو سمحتوا.
If there are any criticisms, well, it's the law which will be invoked. I'm also telling the entities I'm talking about that it's you who are responsible, that it's you who are responsible for the security and safety as well as medical care of this government. These entities, these two entities. I've already delved deeper into economic figures and economic matters just to show you how hard it is, how difficult it is to provide money and to provide resources for everything we need in all areas in maintaining security as well as providing medical care for everyone. So we have to pull ourselves together and understand each other's circumstances so that for things to go in a smoother way. I'm talking not only about preserving this communal compromise, but I'm also calling for reinforcing and strengthening this communal compromise so that the country will not be fragile. And to know what I mean by fragility, please look around and look at all other countries around us to know what I mean. War, regardless of the way you perceive it to be, either between countries or in the form of terror, which have been confronting recently. We have been talking about terrorism which is there, or which used to be there. As I was calling you to confront terrorism, I knew through intelligence reports what did exist in the Sinai Peninsula, the numbers, the armament, and so on. I can tell you in 2 years and a half time that our confrontation has been successful. And by the way, it's those terrorists in Sinai, who triggered off such a confrontation, not we. I'm telling you the truth, nothing but the truth. It's they who triggered off, who touched off this confrontation. Everyone would have led his own life with keeping to himself his own beliefs, but it's they who touched it off, who ignited this confrontation. On January the 25th, all the demands were to topple the regime. If the demands of January the 25th of toppling the regime had been met, things would have gone in another way. They would do this to themselves. The idea from 70 billion to 20 billion dollars. I'm talking about a revolutionary status to which we want to revert back to. And please take care take care, you Egyptians. I'm telling all Egyptians that if there's any opportunity on the country's economy to make any pay or wage raises, I will not hesitate to do it.
لكن انا بحكي لكم عشان
But I'm telling you about the reality.
في الاول انا كنت عارف كان فيها ايه.
But I'm telling you about the situation in Sinai. I knew beforehand what was going on in Sinai. We have gone. Things have drastically changed there to the positive.
ايوه
Will the confrontation did the confrontation in Sinai entail excesses? Yes, it entailed the confront terrorism in Sinai has already entailed a lot of excesses. Yes, I acknowledge there have been excesses in confrontation against terrorism in Sinai. Am I, as Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, am I comfortable or am I comfortable and pleased with these excesses in Sinai? No, I'm not.
4 مرات مش كده؟ وتاني وتالت والبرلمان موجود.
Parliament has been there.
لف وشوف وانا تحت امرك.
You have to go and I'm at your service. Go for yourself to see it.
مش البرلمان موجود؟
Isn't Parliament there?
مرور على وتطمن بنفسك ولا
Would like to make it all yourself and go to these places, and
البرلمان يمر.
I do hope that Parliament members would make a tour for themselves to get first-hand knowledge of our people in Sinai, to our people in Nuba, in the Western Desert. Go for yourself for first-hand knowledge. Take your people as you represent these regions. Go on a tour to these regions, the Western Desert, Sinai, and so on, to go for first-hand knowledge. We're tired of security measures, security action. Is confrontation of terror finished, complete? No. But together, we can't confront it, we can't stem terrorism once for all.
بس يضرب السياحه.
The person who made the airliner crash over Sinai, what did he mean? Only to make an airliner crash, not just to make the airliner crash? Was it the only goal of his? No.
اخر حاجه عايز اقولها لكم في موضوع
He meant to undermine, to subvert relations between Egypt and Russia.
لما الناس تبقى قلقانه وخايفه مش مطمنه على بكره في احباط.
When there's frustration, skepticism,
ده خطر.
suspicion, these all are perilous,
اكيد بدون قصد من
perilous,
ما فيش سياق. طب ما فيش سياق ليه؟
perilous qualities. Why? Because there has been no context of putting or placing things into.
مالناش دماغ للاعلام ليه؟ عشان بنحترم وموجودين معانا هنا وكلفتهم بالمهمه دي من سنه ونص.
Why didn't we make a brain or head for the media? Why? The media people are present with us and have assigned them one year and a half ago to work on a brain or head to get or to communicate to me and the media. And we have to acknowledge and we have to acknowledge that there have been no real communication channels between the state or government on the one hand and the media on the other, and we have to acknowledge the absence of such channels. I've been talking about building and survival of the very existence of what some people have been doing is to reverse the building process in Egypt, to stop it. But But let me assert you, let me iterate to you that no one will succeed at stopping Egyptians build Egypt so long as Egyptians remain united and keep pulling themselves together. And now let me talk to you about youth. Let me tell you something to make you comfortable about tomorrow.
شغالة في مشاريع جوه مصر بدون مبالغة.
Projects within Egypt.
بدون مبالغة.
There are projects in Egypt which have already employed no less than 2 million Egyptian young people.
400,000 شقة دول هيبقوا حوالي 60 مليار جنيه. تقريبا يعني أو أكتر شوية.
I was talking to the Minister of Housing. I was just talking to the Minister of Housing this morning about the 400,000 housing units we are going to build. He told me they are going to cost 60 billion Egyptian pounds, and these units will be costly for the country.
كل الصناعات اللي شغالة لصالح الإسكان ده هتشتغل.
This building, the building of these housing units will employ a lot of people in a lot of areas closely linked to the building site or to the building process, from the lorry or truck carrying sand to the building site, and pebbles to the building site, involving all other work, all other professions, all other jobs involved. I was talking the other day to the chief of the Armed Forces Engineering Authority. He told me that he may build these projects using foreign labor. I wondered, why would you like to hire foreign labor to do the work that otherwise could be done by Egyptians? We have to employ our Egyptian young people. Even if they are not trained, we may be able to train them. We may train them and get them involved immediately on our work, rather than depending on foreign labor. The presidential program, which has already started, the first group already trained within this presidential scheme or project. We are going to take a large segment of those young people already groomed and trained would be working with the government, because actually most of them have already come from government facilities, government institutions to be trained within this presidential program. Why? So why did we send them to? Why did we recruit them on this program? Why? To train them more, to groom them more, to be fully prepared. Every 2 months we are going to recruit 500 more, 500 by 500, and then deploy them within all government facilities to inject new blood into these government facilities. When they finish, when they graduate, we are going to pick up the best, the elite of these elements, and appoint them to the presidential cabinet, to parliament, to other elite places within the government. We have been working hard to improve education as well. We have been working on education, but never believe, despite all these massive efforts being done for years in order to improve education, that we may resolve or upgrade education within 1 year, 2, 3, 4, or even 10 years. We need continued, relentless, hard work on the education system.
في هذا المجال مستعدين. ده ملوش علاقه بجهد وزاره التربيه والتعليم اللي شغاله مع نفسها. اوعوا تتصوروا ان احنا هنقدر نصلح التعليم وده مش عدم تحفيز للتعليم. لا، هي الحكايه كده.
We have to continue working on education. Well, let me tell you the tale of Muhammad Ali, who took over the ruling of Egypt in 1805. He led Egypt. He would lead Egypt for 45 years, but he managed to muster or raise the army of Egypt within only the first 11 years, though he remained ruling Egypt for 45 years. Muhammad Ali, considered to be the founder of modern Egypt, when he took over Egypt, the ruling of Egypt in 1805, he kept ruling Egypt for 45 years. But still, he managed to muster Egypt's army, to raise Egypt's army within the first 11 years only. We can't allow ourselves to humiliate Egyptians. We can't humiliate Egyptians.
وهم لازم يعرفوا
And
كلنا نعرف اننا كلنا واحد.
we should all know that we are all Egyptians and we are one.
تنصر الظالم يعني. لا، لو حد فينا غلط ما يتحاسب. ده ملوش علاقه بالباقي. الكلام ده ينطبق علينا كلنا بصراحه.
The right thing is not to support the one who has been erring and has been making mistakes or errors with someone else, but anyone making an error should be brought to account. So if I can't say that when a teacher has been misbehaving, that all teachers are branded as misbehaving teachers and bad teachers, and the same applies to the Ministry of the Interior. When a police officer or police sergeant misbehaves or offends an innocent member of the public, it's only he who should be brought to account because he has been misbehaving, rather than the entire force of the police.
اوعى تفتكروا اللي انا بقول عليه ده كله احنا مش قادرين عليه. لا لا لا. انا مش عايز اقسم لكم.
I do not want to swear to you that what has been achieved in this past one year and a half couldn't have been accomplished within 20 years. What has already been achieved within this past 1.5 years couldn't have been achieved within 20 years. I'm not crediting myself with this, but it's you who should be credited with these great accomplishments within this 1 year and a half. It's only Egyptians who have done so. Let me thank you, and I'm really glad that through you I've been addressing all Egyptians, and let me assure them all about the future of Egypt. I'm telling them all that Egypt will remain in prosperity and welfare, and no one will be able, no one is capable of harming Egypt.
آخر حاجة تحيا مصر.
Long live Egypt, long live Egypt, long live Egypt, long live Egypt. Thank you very much and goodbye.
السلام الوطني لجمهورية مصر العربية.
نقلنا لحضراتكم من مسرح الجلاء بمصر الجديدة وقائع تدشين انطلاق رؤية مصر 2030.